Today's a new day, let the old pass away. Gratitude to sky. No more chains, no more masks. Time to make a change. No more holding myself back. The change begins in me. I'm answering the purpose call. Cause big to push. Embracing life. I'm valuable in life. Today's a new day, a fresh taste of new grace. Gratitude don't sky high. No more. Today's a new day, let the old pass away. Gratitude don't sky high. No more chains, no more land. No more holding myself back.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to your next episode of What's in Your Cup Conversations. I am your favorite host, Consuela Nicole, as well as your favorite inspirational speaker, life balance, and accountability coach. We are in for an amazing show, but as you come in, make sure you are sharing the link. We are currently going live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. This conversation, I promise you, will be the answer to someone's prayers. I know you hear me say that all the time, and trust and believe the feedback we get after every show is phenomenal, right? And I always, or we, because me and my team is doing it, right? We always get that email or that message that says, thank you for that conversation. It answered my prayers. This is my story. So today is definitely going to be somebody's story. As you chime in, or as you come in, go ahead and chime in. Let me know that you are here. Let me know how you're doing, because your girl needs to do a mental check-in with everybody. I see you, Queen Monica. I see you, Monica Green. Welcome. Hello. How are you doing over there in Florida? Thank you very much for coming on, and thank you very much for your continued support. How you doing over there? How is everybody doing? I really need to know how everybody's doing. I know it's just been 2 weeks, but it seemed like it's been a long time. But I'm still excited. I am here and I'm rocking with each and every one of you. And I want to know why it's quiet. I see y'all on. I do. I see you on. But anywho, I have a quick question. Good, Monica. I'm glad you are doing good, Queen. And you and your family, first and foremost, are definitely still in our prayers over here. Because things are being shaken up for you. So I get it. I get it. So thank you for taking time out of your day to chime in. Pam Rose Baylor, hello, good evening. Thank you very much for chiming in and joining us. Again, we are currently live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So if you have anyone or know anyone that needs this message or any of the messages, make sure you share this link out. If you have missed any of the previous episodes, you are welcome to check them out on the website of what'sinyourcupconversations.com. You can see the episodes from season 1 and season 2. And of course, you can also find them all on Facebook as well as on YouTube. If you have a show idea, or if there's a topic that you would like for us to conversate about, that you would like for us to have on the show, make sure you send us an email. And you can do it by sending an email to smile@consuelanicole.com. If you have a show idea, if you have a show topic, if there's a conversation that you want us to have, even if you want to be a guest. But I will tell you, all of our guest spots for season 2 is completely booked. We are currently booking and confirming for season 3. So if you have a story to tell, if you have a testimony to share, make sure you go submit your request at what'sinyourcupconversations.com, because baby, season 3, we got some fire changes for you. And I am excited about it, right? And one of those changes that we have will also be sponsorships. We are starting our sponsorship campaigns, as well as, well, some other stuff. But you got to stay tuned for what that other stuff is. If you are a current business owner, organization, or anything of the sort, definitely go ahead and check out what's in your cup conversations.com. And there is a link for sponsorships listed. So you can definitely become one of our sponsors. We have 3 levels of sponsorships available. So make sure you go check that out. If you're looking for a collaboration option, we do have some of those as well for some of our community partners. So you can also send that via email at smile@consuelanicole.com. Are y'all ready for today? Because I told you today's show is going to be a powerhouse. I see Dr. Natalie is in with us. Hello, beautiful. Thank you very much for joining. I appreciate you. So let me tell y'all, this young lady that I'm going to bring to the stage here in just a moment. Well, before I do that, no, we're going to do that later. But I want to get her on, right? And the reason being, the young lady that we are talking about today reached out to me a little bit ago. And when she shared her story with me, I had no choice but to bring her on because her story is the story of so many living in silence and living in fear. Um, if you are the person that we're talking about, or you may be the support system of who we're talking about, right? I'm just going, you know, we're going to run down part of her story. It's so much, but we're going to run down part of her story. Today, I'm talking about none other than Miss Monica, known to the world as Neecy Earl Semple. For one, she is a best-selling author. She is a businesswoman, a serial businesswoman with several businesses, and we're going to talk about that. She is from Tennessee. She is a newly married woman, right? She is a newlywed. She is a wife. She is a mother. She is a grandmother. Woo woo to the grandma club. Y'all know. I'm a Nene, so I gotta give love to the grandparents club. Um, and one of her, I asked her for a title of what her life would be, and one of the first things that came to mind for her was finding my light when left in the darkness. But one of her most beautifulest, and I know that's not a word, but that's going to be my word today. One of her beautifulest mottos that she lives by is don't watch me, watch God. And I love that. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, help me welcome Miss Monica Neecy Earl Semple to the stage. How you doing, beautiful?
I'm doing all right, baby. Can you hear me okay?
I can, and so can the people. Hello, Dr. Johnson. I see you. Jamie Bullock, I see you. I see you. Thank you for chiming in, Miss Monica. Can I call you Miss Neecy? Because the world calls you Miss Neecy.
Come
Because
on, bring it in.
Miss
Call me
Neecy,
Miss.
we about to have a whole sister, girl, auntie, mama, grandma conversation right now. Because I had a whole list of questions for you. And God said, not today, baby. I was like, okay, then. That's what we gonna do because your story, it touched me on so many levels. But I have to add, first of all, I want to say thank you for joining me on this episode of What's in Your Cup Conversations because I know it's late over there for you. Everybody know I'm on the West Coast. You are on the East Coast, so it's late over there. So I want to thank you for being up first and foremost.
It's okay because this ain't really late. I mean, this is great timing, and I'm so glad to be here. And I want to thank everybody that's on here. I may not be able to see everybody the comments, but I want to thank everybody for joining this cup of conversation because this is going to be a cup of conversation.
It is. So let me explain, and so a lot of things, a lot of times people hear me say sometimes you got to pause, pivot, and push and do some things, right? I don't have my cup today, but it's all right because I got something else, right? So I still got my drink, but and today it is, it's water. I promise you it's water. But on what's in your cup conversations, right? We're not just talking about what's in your physical cup because we've had this conversation. We're talking about what's in your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual cup, right? because we are constantly pouring into others and pouring into others that we eventually, our cup runs empty. We're not pouring from our saucer, we're not pouring from our overflow, we pouring from a crack, and we just give it all until we have no more to give, right? And I say I have to put that disclaimer out because we live in a current society where when people don't understand something, they want to cancel it out, right? Or that can't be true because I don't understand it, or we don't talk about that. But we hear the beginning of everybody's story, and then we hear the glitz and the glam and the highlights and all the good things. But nobody talk about the hills and the mountain and the valleys and the dark places in the middle that got you to where you are today. So today we gonna pull off the blinders. We taking off the mask. We are breaking the chains, and we are definitely breaking the silence, right? So before we do anything else, Miss Neecy, I have a question for you, and I ask all of my guests this. I when I brought you on, I read parts of your bio. I didn't even read your whole bio because it's a beautiful thing, right? And it's part of your story. I mentioned of you some of your titles, right? Being a mom and a wife and a grandma, right? And all those things. And a newlywed wife. We're gonna talk about that too. But when you wake up in the see, look at y'all see that shoulder roll? Y'all see, y'all you better watch it, Miss Neecy. But when you wake up in the morning, right? How do you introduce yourself to the world and to the lady in the mirror to get started?
Ooh, hey, my time. When I wake up in the morning time, I start my day off in just meditation. I speak to myself. I put positive words into my life before I start my day. And I'm a woman of faith, so of course
Mhm.
I'm putting the Bible into my life. I am applying the word to my life. So when I get up in the morning time and I transition, I make sure, because the world is already cruel and mean, I already make sure before I leave out of here. I don't think I'm better than nobody, but I don't need nobody to tell me or push me or
Right.
motivate me, because I'm gonna do that before I leave.
Okay, okay. So you find your own motivation first to set the tone for your day before you go tackle the world.
Exactly. I inspire my
Okay.
own self, and I put my own self in a winning mindset, because so many things are always coming at people. And I mean, we can see the world is turning. Some
Uh-huh.
say yes, some say no, that they like this. Whatever it is, sometimes you don't need to carry that bag. You need to find out,
Ooh.
go process through whatever it is going on in the right now. How
Okay.
you gonna walk through whatever it is going on that you ain't got no control over it. Just you. Check you. Get you
Ooh.
together and
You know,
find
that's a
your
tough
way to walk through whatever is going on. That's how
but
I
Miss
roll.
Cynthia, you know that's a tough one. To tell people to check themselves. Too many people, okay. Perfect example. A lot of people right now don't even have full length mirrors in their homes to check themselves. They look at themselves from the shoulders up, right? So checking myself and holding myself accountable, that's hard for a lot of people. But you figured out a way to make it work for you, right? So we're gonna talk about some of them ways that you did it, and maybe some of them, because I do it for me too, baby. I will go check myself in a heartbeat. Matter of fact, I got 3 full length mirrors around my house, right?
Mhm.
So no matter where I'm gonna see all sides and all angles. Um,
Everything.
right. So we're gonna talk about some of your ways and some of your tips, tricks, or as they call it, life hacks, right?
Mhm,
That worked for
mhm.
you, and we're gonna share them with the people. But one of the first things I want to say, first of all, is congratulations on your nuptials because you are still a newly wed, ma'am, Miss Neecy. How long we been married right now?
Ooh, baby, we've been married a little bit over a year, but it looked like I just feel like I just got married. And I'm telling you, when God sends the the one. And I know people, I hear people say, I ain't gonna never get married. My soulmate out ain't out there. Who you lying to yourself? Because you would know. And I'm telling you, when I met when I met my husband, Charles Butch Semple, and I was introduced to this man by another good friend of of ours, Joel McGuire, and he asked me to come to an event that he was having, and when I wrote my first book, and I said, okay, I'll stop in. And when I saw him, I just was like, I knew I was in a battle, and we'll talk about that. I was in a battle or something already. I couldn't talk to nobody right now, but
Right, right.
I remembered the man. And then a year later, the same guy, Joel McGuire, he said God spoke to him and told him something about me and his guitar player. And I looked and I remember I was like, I went to the little event he had. I said, I didn't see what and I'm like, okay, all right. I said, and he kept calling me. He kept calling me. I said, look, I'm gonna come to your little event that you're having. I'm bringing the little collard greens, and I'm supposed to make hot water cornbread. But I ain't coming to meet you, your guitar player, okay? And he said, okay. I'm married to the guitar player.
Oh, look at you. He was stringing the guitar and he caught your heart.
That it wasn't really the guitar, it was the touch. This man
Okay.
touched my shoulder and he remembered me. And I know God was in it because a year prior, I didn't have no phone number on this man. I didn't have no way to contact this man. And I was in the process of getting ready to leave. And then the man touched me and it was like an angel. And I turned around and I looked at him and it was a smile. And he asked me how I was doing. He said, how are you doing? And he was so soft spoken. And I looked, and the first thing I noticed, I said, I don't like his shirt. I said, but God, I'm gonna talk to him, you know.
Miss
And that's what I
Neecy.
said in my head. I said, I don't like his shirt, Lord, but I said, but I'm gonna talk to him. And I came home. We exchanged numbers. I said, look, I got something going on. I had to go back to Baltimore. I had to drive from Baltimore, which is like an hour from where I had to go meet Joel, who wanted to introduce me to the guitar player, And I promised him I was coming. I try to be a woman of my word.
Okay.
And and I went home and I went back to my girl's house that I called my sister, and you will hear about that later on. I said, girl, I said I went down there, I said I met this man. I said I like him. I said he touched me real soft, it's like an angel. I said, but if you do one thing wrong, I was like, he out of there. And
Miss
it
Neecy.
was 4th of July weekend too. And he called and I said, oh, he said one thing wrong. And I said, because I mean I'm just now coming over. So I said, God, if he said one thing wrong, I said, if he breathed wrong, I said that's a sign. I was looking for things.
You was looking for something to be
I was
wrong.
looking for things. I really was. And
God
he
had
was
other plans.
he was so everything he said had me scratching my neck and my head, and I was trying to hang up, and then I wanted to get back, but he and then finally I sit down because normally I got my earbuds on because if it's like gonna be a long conversation, I'm gonna cut it short. And then I'm in the seat where I'm sitting at right now talking to this man, and it went on to almost about a 3 o'clock in the morning conversation on a weekday that I had to be at work.
Well,
And
Miss
now
Neecy, I got a question. I got a question for you. You first said that when you met this man a year prior, you wasn't trying to have relations, a conversation. You was in the middle of something, right?
gee,
Was this your first marriage?
no, this wasn't my first marriage. I was coming out of a domestic violence marriage. I hadn't
Okay.
even matter of fact, when I met him and they had that event in Bethesda, Maryland, it started out domestic violence. I stood up, and then because I stood up, he had the previous husband trumped charges on me and made it criminal and had a summons out on me. And because I don't have a habit of getting in trouble with the law, I'm proud of that. I thought a summons was a warrant. I didn't know. And so I was knee deep in that. I hadn't even transitioned through the divorce. The divorce didn't come up. So we was in the process of navigating in COVID, in COVID, in the courthouse, and still being able to go to the courthouse masked up. Then sometimes we did virtual. I was in that phase when I met
Okay,
him.
so you met your now husband while you were going through a domestic violence style divorce.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is not like 5, 6, 7 years ago. We talking like 3, 4 years ago, like
Yeah,
recent.
recent.
So give me the, not even just me, but give the people that's listening, because there is somebody out there now going through what you went through, um that may not know what you know
Uh,
that they're going through it, right? So let's give me the short version of what you went through, and then tell me what were some of the red flags that you now know of that you overlooked at the time. So what was the and there's many different forms of domestic violence. First and foremost, it's not just physical, it's physical, mental, financial, spirit. There is many different versions and ways to, go through domestic violence, and I definitely do not wish any of that on my worst enemy, right?
amen.
So let's talk about what form or the domestic violence you experienced first and what that was like. And then we want to talk about some of the red flags that you may have, thinking about it now, the red flags that showed up that you
I
ignored.
pushed them. I pushed a lot of things up under the rug.
Okay.
So I stayed a little bit longer. And what people don't understand, they're quick to judge. And they
Hmm.
put, oh, it'll never be me. Because I'm a feisty sister. I said it'll never be me. I'm me talking to you now because it's me.
Okay.
And when I went through it, it was like I can't go. I have to tell you about it was planned. It was plotted out very well. There was so much betrayal in the end, the deceit, the lies, and the laughter. So there was a plan of everything that happened that I was not included on. There were
Hmm.
things that people were plotting that I was not included in.
Hmm.
So when I got married, I know in 2015, I don't know if you ever been to the DMV. My Valentine's Day gift was a 4 bedroom home in the harbor,
Okay.
and that's like I haven't been to California, but I have been to Houston, and it's like in the Galleria area. If you ever been to
Hmm.
like the
Hmm.
Galleria area, like that,
Okay.
and it was off of the water, and
Okay.
so he wanted to make sure that I post that this was my gift for Valentine's Day. And I'm like, no, I don't think I really want to post that because I'm thinking more so of people would have thought I would have been bragging and boasting. I didn't want to
Okay.
post about it. But he was like, no, he was adamant on me posting about Happy Valentine's Day to my beautiful wife. Her Valentine's Day gift is this 4 bedroom home in the harbor. It's a beautiful home. And it started there. And it wasn't in 15, but in 17, 15, 16 was beautiful. 17, I noticed some of the verbiage that was coming out that led into strong arguments,
Hmm.
and the verbiage became so strong until it was like before I realized, I'm like, oh wow, I'm being there's gaslighting going on.
Hmm.
So it was bringing me out of my character with the
Okay.
verb saying, and then the verbal became strong going into 17, and then I said, okay, I'm gonna go get some counseling and I'm gonna talk to somebody, because it was to the point that 17, 18, we spent, and I have the number. I think I have 45 45 times at 2 weeks, at 2 weeks, where we literally at 2 weeks in 18 said nothing to each other 45 different times. And I forgot, it may have happened in, and I think maybe June, July of 18, we said nothing. No, we didn't say good morning, we didn't say hello, how was your day, nothing. And 18, it became worse. There were some signs that I seen, maybe possibility of infidelity. I didn't put that out of my mind. 18, I came out of the bedroom and I moved upstairs. And upstairs became my cave. So when I say my cave, everything I needed was upstairs besides everything I needed was upstairs besides the stove.
Okay.
I
Okay.
didn't need nothing, because I had the bathroom. I had a really nice large guest bedroom. I had a nice refrigerator. Anything I needed at that time, I was beginning to learn about Uber, and I could have food delivered to me. But I
Okay.
also had my disabled son was staying there.
Okay.
And then 19 is when some health issues came along for him. And then there were things that he was trying to hide with the dysfunction. He had some things with the erectile dysfunction. I'm like, oh, that's the problem. But then, I still stayed out of the
Hmm.
way because the verbal was bad. Now it's getting to the place to where it's becoming physical. So now I'm fighting you and I'm protecting myself like you a stranger on the street. Like that's how we were engaged with each other. And so there were times that, when I realized, I said, there's infidelity going on.
Okay.
And I was concerned about my safety for all the things that were going on, uh, sexually. I wanted to make sure I protected myself, so I stayed out of the way with
Okay.
everything. And I couldn't understand how there was, when you talk about infidelity, okay, so I know the lower part don't work, so the upper part must be working. And that, even
Mhm.
when I put that together in my mind, I'm like, ugh, so now I don't want nothing from you. But yet I
Right.
never worry about one bill. And that was the
Right.
other thing. Even though
So he
there was
took care of you financially completely.
I didn't see, I never saw a bill. I never saw a bill. Nothing,
So,
not a gas bill, like nothing.
so
Not a
you thinking about your story right now, right? And you were able, and I know there's a lot more to it, and we're going to get to, how you were able to escape, because that's what it is. You had to put in a plan to escape to get to the light. But thinking about your story right now, what talk to the young men and women out there, right? What were some of the red flags that you overlooked or thought, that's not what that is. It's going to get better. What were some of those red flags for you?
when I realized I was being degraded, and then I realized how some of the things that would come out of his mouth was very, very. It was very, very. I guess it would be hurtful if you didn't have tough skin. It angered me, but it ended up being degrading comments that were made, or degrading things that were said to me. And then I I believe I had kind of adapted myself to it, because my mother had introduced me to being to where it's like I'm the ugliest person in the world. So it didn't bother me when you said I was the ugliest person in the world, or any woman would love to be in your shoes.
Mm,
Oh, you don't know how to do this, you don't know how to do this. Oh, this person does this, do that. So I'm not a comparing type person. So when you started attacking my looks, when you started attacking my body, I was already used to that because my mother had introduced me to that.
she planted
So
that
I
seed early on.
assumed that's the way it went.
Okay.
So as I'm growing and developing now, going into my 50s, I'm trying to go on another level in life. I don't. This is not what I want. I'm at the church praying for my marriage. I'm at the church praying for my household, and so I had to move myself out the way. All the things I thought I wanted and needed, they were wrong. So I had to put all those things in the trash can and put my foot on it. And I just started praying to God, what is it that He wants me to do? And so in 19, I fasted a whole lot more and I started listening for the voice of God and for discernment. And 19 was the roughest year because I fought Him more off of me, not knowing that while I was at work, my son was brutally getting attacked. And none of that came out until February 20th was my last straw, because I had got hit up the head with a a, um, a tire iron, and it had knocked me out. And my son, my youngest son, had was used to the arguing. He had maybe heard that, but he had never saw me and that man fight. And when my son walked down the steps, he walked right into the man conking me on my head with the tire that broke me. I buckled at my knees and went down. So I kind of lost conscious a little bit, but my youngest son ran out the house. And when I came to on the bottom step, I came to my son with a steel pipe in his hand, and I was able to to pull myself up with all the strength that I had, bleeding in my head, and telling my son not to do this, because I knew if he had hit that man with the steel pipe, I knew that that was going to be a tragic ending for my then husband and my son, because my
Okay.
son walked into me being he didn't know what had happened. He just knew I was on the step. He may have possibly thought that I was badly injured, which I was, and or dead. I just seen him coming back through the door, and then two of my neighbors that had put a call in for Prince George County, and February was my last straw. It was my last straw for the verbal. It was my last straw for the emotional distress. It was my last straw for the mental anguish. And I debated so much with myself, which is the worst thing I could have did at my age. Where am I going in the DMV? Somebody pays all of the bills. How am I gonna make it? Oh, well, your name is on the house, on the deed of the house. Okay, we'll sell the house. I'll find my way. That's all I thought about. I knew my name was on the deed of my home. I knew before I went into the home and we purchased the home, we wasn't going to do any closing or anything unless my name was on the deed of the house.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the value was, didn't really care.
But you made
I
sure
just,
your deed, your name was on the deed.
and
And
at
you
that
know what
time,
I say to that, Miss Neecy?
money thing. It was a health issue, and all the
Mhm.
red flags that I missed from the verbal, that was a red flag. And then there was the strong possibility of, and I kept saying, no, he ain't on no dope. He ain't smoking no crack. He been clean 17 years. But he came home at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, at quarter to three, with halogen lights, and started the lawnmower up and mowed the whole front yard. And then he did the weed eating. He cut it but better at 3 o'clock in the morning than he did at 8 o'clock in the morning.
You know what, Miss Nisi? The only thing I can say about that is, but God. God placed a semicolon and said, I got you. And He was able to free you from all of that, because you are here today to share your story, to share your testimony, because I know in my heart of heart, you just saved somebody else's life by
And I should
sharing. And this ain't even your
have,
full story.
you're right, because I stayed a little bit longer because of fear. Not fear of everything in the DMV is very expensive. Like
Okay.
if you try to rent with someone, if you do a roommate, you need about $1,500 for rent, and then you're splitting utilities. That's
Okay.
no cable, there's no nothing. If you try to get a place by yourself, you need maybe you might get a one bedroom. It might be 900 square feet. You're looking at about 1850.
Right.
And I didn't know my process through that.
Okay.
I was scared of that. Now that's what I was scared of. I wasn't scared of that problem. I was scared of being homeless
Homeless.
in the winter because during all of this process of everything, when I stood up, oh, that's when Jason came out. Then he brought his friend Freddy Krueger. Then he went and got the clock clown. He brought all them clowns out. I found out everything. So when I assumed, it didn't even matter. There was no one. I just know I was just tired. I'm ready to go. Lord, just sit at the house, like whatever.
Right.
I didn't find out everything. We went to court on the 3rd of February. And the dates might be, it may be the 3rd or the 13th. And then
Okay.
the next week they shut down for COVID, for the
Okay.
domestic violence. And so one of the things they do, they move the aggressor out of the house, which was
Right.
him. So the only bill that I had that I was responsible for was the cable bill, and I had put up surround sound, good quality cameras, but I
Okay.
didn't have sound on them. But then one night I was laying in bed, Holy Ghost said, "Get up, call cable company, and put sound on the back end of the cameras," because he knew the sound was at the front, and I knew that something that he was going to be able to have to come get some clothes. So I knew that process. And so my son called me. He said he's here. I said, okay, I'm on my way because I was at church. And they also told me to change the lock. And so he came and he went to the back. He did what I thought he was going to do. And he took the phone. Most of the people talk like this. Nope, he talked on speakerphone. And I knew he was going to do that. And I added sound. And so the person that I assumed that was helping him, maybe the sister, the daughter, maybe the new woman, it was my own sibling.
Your
Oh,
own.
okay, that's what, yeah, it's my own sibling. My own sister. I don't have but one. My mother had two girls. My mother had me, I'm the oldest, and my sister. Oh, okay. So, you know, and at the time, I wasn't, I didn't shed one tear. I didn't shed
Okay.
one tear when we started the process. I didn't cry. I didn't want to cry. I was done with him. And when I found out it was her, I was done with her. I was just
Jesus.
done. So the only thing I heard on the camera was in 17-degree weather now, February, the end of February, change the locks, turn the lights off, turn the water out, and put her and her other fucking son outside. That's what we said. I got the tape. I got the tape and everything. I listened
Ooh.
10 times before I kept trying to say, that ain't my sister. I tried to bag the camera.
Denial.
I said, that ain't her. And I looked and listened 10 times and I sat in my car, listened to it, and I said it's her. And then I sent it I call her my sister. She is actually my classmate that I grew up with, but she has hung with me through the
Your
process
sister.
when
Mm-hmm.
nobody else was there. And that's another story. I sent it to Shotzi and said, Shotzi, I said, I'm gonna send you something, listen to it, come back. That's your sister. I said, is it? She said, girl, that's your sister. I sent it to one more person for confirmation. She said, that is not who I think it is. I said, who do you think it is? She said, Monica. They said, Miss Monica, that's your sister. And I needed more confirmation. So I dropped the video and not in a good mental state because I'm angry. So I uploaded it on Facebook. Oh, I uploaded it on
Miss
Facebook.
Neecy, you did not put that
Yeah.
on the book.
And I mean, I uploaded it probably on a Friday. No, uploaded it on a Thursday because I didn't even go to work on Saturday. I uploaded it Thursday it was around 3 or 4 o'clock in the evening. It had reached over 400 400,000 hits. I had so many people that responded and started calling me through Messenger. And then I've come from a small town, so I always had I thought was a strong connection with people. So people called me. So I stayed up all the way from that Thursday, probably into that Sunday. I remember I didn't go to church, just talking to people that was blown of the
About what they
conversation.
heard.
And I uploaded other videos that showed the relationships that they had. But I called her before I loaded it up on Facebook, and I asked her, I said, "Are you having any relationships, contact, anything with my husband?" She said, "No, I'm not talking to him at all. He's calling here." And I said, "But when he called you, you don't think you should hang up? Are you nuts? Are you saying anything?" She said, "I'm not saying anything." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, let me say this to you. I want to ask that you forgive me for anything that I've said, anything that I've done." I
Really?
said, "Please forgive me." And she said, "And I'm not talking to him." I said, "It's okay." And I hung up the phone. I uploaded the video. And that was my stop conversation with her at that point. This is domestic violence. I found out that not only was I fighting for my life, but there were cruel things that was happening in my home where my son and him had all type of fights, to even to where uh
Your
he was
disabled son.
my disabled son was living with me, and he was in barber school, as a matter of fact, and he was on the list to get into a home for disabled children. And not only was he fighting my son, and instead my son would be up in his room. I never paid attention to the cameras. Let me say that first of all, because I lived in a really, really nice neighborhood and the only African American on the block. I
Okay.
never thought about nobody coming to break in. I just didn't.
Right.
But at the time when everything happened, I looked at that one camera when he came to get the clothes, and that made me call Xfinity, which cost me. And I went back about 2 years. I went back about 2 years and I had to go to court to even get them to release
To release
my
all
footage. I had to go to court to get paperwork to get them to release my footage in my home, which I thought was ridiculous, but nevertheless. And that's when I found out so many other things that were going on. I found out about people that I know he had 17 years clean,
of.
through a
Okay.
place so others might eat. And I found out about people he was bringing over to the house. And then I didn't know that you could smoke crack cocaine through a can. I didn't know about that. You can't drink or smoke anything. Then I found the things, around my home that I wasn't aware of,
Okay.
that I didn't know anything about, because I don't indulge I don't smoke crack. It's too
Yeah.
expensive.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
That's your thing. You do your thing. That's not
So
me.
let me ask you this. So after your journey, right? After this season of your life, because that was a season, right? You made it through this season. You started your healing process, and you wrote a book about it. You wrote a book about your process.
I
What
did.
is the name of that book?
Um, let me start with the winning mindset. It's called the
Okay.
winning mindset. And when I went into a collaboration book of the winning mindset, that's my baby. The first one I wrote was the manifestation journal. That's where I kept up with everything that I went through, and I had to hold on to God's hand. But I had to really, 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 really talk to God about releasing this book, because I knew that it would be going back to when I was a child and understanding some things of the abuse. And I wrote that book under BLBM, and my title in that book is "I Found My Light When You Left Me in the Dark." I wrote the story, but I didn't have a title.
Okay.
And I was praying, because I knew there was time for the chapter to be turned in, and he was pressing me. I need a title for the book. I need a title for the book. And then I was, flipping through Facebook, and I saw a young lady, and that's why I have DL under there. A young lady by the name of Diamond Lee. And she had, and I hate tattoos, but she had this real beautiful tattoo of this lion on her. I lived in Florida all my life. I want a tattoo, I would have got one. And up under that beautiful line that the artist had did was, "I found my light when you left me in the darkness." I said, "That's my title," and I sent a message to her. I said, "Your tattoo is beautiful. I don't like tattoos, but this is beautiful." I said, "I want to use the wording," and she
Hmm.
said, "Sure." I didn't tell her I want to use it. I said, "I'm going to pull the wording from the tattoo for a title of a chapter." And she came back in Messenger and she said yes. And that became the title of my book, "Because You Left Me in the Darkness."
Okay. So besides the book, because this is your website, neecysoftandSweet.com, all of your books are available on your website, but that's not the only thing on your website.
No.
What else is available on Miss Neecy's website? Because I went snooping and I went looking, and there's some things I want for myself on there. But what else is on Miss Neecy's website? Because you used your healing and your growth and elevation in a way that others can now also heal.
I
What is
created
that?
this. I created everything that I had put on the back burner for myself. I kept saying, "I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it," and I put it in the back burner. I had already had everything in the home, and I knew
Okay.
the home was going to be broke down. I said, "I'm gonna start building my butters back." My grandmother showed me how to do it, and my
Your
grandmother,
butter.
she my body butter. So when you go to Neecy Soft and Sweet, that's where you would find my body butters. So if you're really, really trying to make love to your skin and you really want to make love to your skin, you need to go with that and Neecy Soft and Sweet, because this is not your regular shea butter. Yeah, you can go and buy shea butter. I don't have a whole lot of brands because see, you get the mix of all them chemicals and all them oils up, you got a hot mess, and people gonna see you a hot mess. Everything I have, I've discerned over it. I prayed over it. I meditated on it. So you go over there and you really want some quality butters that's going to really tone your skin. If you have eczema, my son had it so bad, and it was giving him all these different creams and breaking them out and everything. I got tired of that, so I started making the creams with the tallow, and I started adding the things that needed to be added in there. Not just go get a oil and do this and pour it in there and you whip it up. No, I have whipped butters that will do amazing things to your skin. It not only will moisturize and deeply penetrate in your skin for any diversity. Let me
Well,
say
there's
that.
one very specific one when I was looking at the website, because I'm not a perfect person at all. Now, I don't have a whole bunch of health issues. Everybody know I have vocal issues, right? For one, the only other issue I have is I suffer with migraines, right?
Mm,
You had something on your website in your whipped butter section. I don't know if it's the whipped butter or something else that helped with that. What is that? And which
Little
one is it?
peppermint too with liniment. I make my own liniment. So
Okay.
I made that because I suffered really bad with migraine headaches at the time, and
Yeah.
so I didn't want to be a person that depended on medication. I didn't want to
Okay.
have to consume a lot of medication. So if you are suffering with migraine headaches or you got any type of minor aches and pains, knees, hip hurting, you can massage that butter on your temples, core temples, and just kind of meditate and massage it in. Now I do want to tell you it has liniment in it. So I wouldn't suggest that you put it in your eyes and in your private area because it will burn. But because of the liniment. But if you put it on your skin, it's not going to burn, but it's going to tone. And you'll feel it. It's a cooling when it goes
Okay.
on your
So yeah, I
skin.
need to I need to get I'm gonna get some of that when we finish because I need that in my life, right? Um, but Miss Nisi, your story is definitely a hallmark, lifetime, real reality. It's your story is the truth for so many people. And one of the things that you mentioned in the beginning was Everybody has their own story or their own thought process, especially, oh, that couldn't be me, right?
Mhm.
What do you now say? Because that used to be your story, that couldn't be me, but now that's your reality. What can you tell the people right now that's saying, oh, I'm not going to ever let that happen to me, or something of that nature? What would be your words of wisdom to that particular person,
My what I would tell people
or one
is
that's in denial? Let me put it that way.
make sure, and that's the thing, because I was in denial because I'll tell you something my grandmother said. I fell in love with the hand, because the hand was so healthy. And I had to admit that to myself.
Hmm.
Be mindful that money played a very vital role, and it opened a door for me and my son.
Hmm.
And even though we dated years prior before getting married, not one sign was showed. Be mindful of when you see things like one of the things that I know was a red flag was when he would get mad. I know he would send like $500 after he paid all the bills to my account every payday. And then I got texts because of something that was petty and small that I missed, that I didn't think about, wasn't on purpose. And I get a text, I'm not sending any money this week. I was cool because I had a job.
Okay.
But when I saw things like that, that was a flag that I see,
Hmm.
that I later learned.
Right.
And then the money always came, but then the verbal became, because I didn't reply back a certain way, or I didn't say
Okay.
or why or please. So that's when I realized that the verbiage changed as well, and I
Okay.
put myself in denial because money played a major part
Okay.
in it, and I missed it.
Okay.
I was blinded by that because I have to be honest, it did take a little bit of my independence away
Okay.
because I got too comfortable. And you should be comfortable with your mate. You should be comfortable with your husband or your wife.
Okay.
But you should not feel less than
Ooh,
or
that's a
put
big
down.
one. That's a big one. Okay. Okay.
And it started to make me feel less than, and I kept sucking it up and sweeping it up under the rug until I couldn't take it no more because the physical became too much for me to bear.
Okay. So, Miss Nisi, I have a question. And I know society say you should never ask a woman her age. But
Hmm.
your first marriage, you was married a total of how many years?
Well, my first marriage, my son's father, he died. My son's father,
Well, the
he died.
one that you was able to escape from.
Okay, so this one here, we had 14 years.
Okay.
14 years, 7, 8, 9. No, no, no. Hold on. 8,
Okay.
9, 12.
So
12.
a 12-year marriage. You escaped, you got out, you healed, and then you started over in a new marriage, which tells you love is, look at that glow in that smile, which tells you that love is still out there at any age, at any time, and to not give up, right? Even
Yes.
though when you first met him, you was, well, the second time you met him, you was looking for him to do wrong, and you could not find anything for him to do wrong, and he has smitten you. um so what is your advice to the woman or the man, right, that's starting over or that has to start over, no matter what the age is, no matter if it's young or seasoned? What is your advice to starting over?
I first got to say, when I divorced, I didn't want to get married anymore. I wasn't even looking for nobody. But I think the cutest part of it is for me is after everything was done and the lights was out and the laughter was out because people laughed and and everything, I kept going back to the church. I never let go of God's hand, and I kept praying. And one of the things that I did not want to do, and I prayed and I said, God, don't make me bitter, don't make me mean, and don't close my heart to love. Please let me continue to be happy and let me be nice to people. So when it was over with, and I told my sister Shasi, I said, I already got a plan. I already picked the rocket chair out. I'm gonna rock a couple of babies, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know if I was gonna stay here, and the plan was just maybe to retire the government, because I'm at the Pentagon. And I just want to retire and just be
Right.
easy
Because you're a
you know,
government employee. Right. Okay.
and, I, and just work on my business and maybe write a couple more other books. That's what I want to do. And I went to when it was over with. I was happy. I thank God for the way He kept me through the process because it's so much to it that I
Uh-huh.
went through. And and when I met Butch, and I didn't like the shirt, but now he still wears that shirt, and it's beginning to look a little bit sexy on him. I hated the shirt, but now the shirt looks sexy on him because And when I met him, then another thing, and it was just the way he talked to me, and it was just the way he touched me, and it's the patience. Oh
Pam,
yeah,
you are so right. Pam said you still
man,
smitten.
patience of Job. He got the patience of Job, and he listened to my story because I gave him everything I could to run him off. Look, got two boys, one tripping. This husband I had ain't this. I don't. I want to let you know. So if you're gonna run,
You
you're
gave
gonna
him all your red flags.
pay right now. And I'm a little bit unbalanced. I am gonna get it balanced. And if you give me time and stick around, coat because we coated for a long time. Okay, I got it. City people
Oh.
courting. Got it. Courting. We coating. I was coating this man. And he was coating me. And I learned the
Oh.
patience. But then he said one other thing. He said, well, I play the guitar and I play for a band. I said, oh Lord, hose. I said, I can't think. That's called I think he's a male undercover slick hoe. That's what I
Miss
said.
Neecy.
And that was a turnoff to me because I had judged musicians all my life like that until I met Charles. And so he invited me out, and I said, well, how many guitars in here? Do you play all of them? Do they work? Do the string? I'm thinking maybe he's just like, he's played a guitar. He can't play that much. He a beast with that guitar because at that time he had maybe seven guitars. I mean, nice ones. Now he owns 14 of them.
Okay.
And when he invited me out, he at that time he had just started playing with this awesome group, Stone Pleasure, in the DMV. It is one of the hottest bands in the DMV. And he was practicing, he got a whole studio. And I looked around, I was like, oh, okay. And he had the headphones that he'd play, and then he was writing songs, and then he'd play a little tune for me in the little shirt that I ain't like. It's like I hate this shirt, but the shirt looked like sexy with the guitar.
Miss
And then
Madeline say, okay, shirt. Come on now.
and he and then I went and I heard him play. I said, "Oh, you play," and not bragging, not telling me anything. I'm like, "Oh, you play." He don't talk. The guitar do all the talking. He don't talk about the people, the celebrities that he's played with. He'll just be like randomly after we got married. Yeah, I remember in '73. I was down here at Constitution Hall with so and so and so, and I'm like, hey,
Miss Neecy,
you
I
count up
love it.
people like Eddie Laverne and Jerry. And yeah, I made an album and so we married. And I'm like, okay. And then when I heard him, I'm like, oh, you play. You know he there when he in the band.
Uh-huh.
And he's not a bigoted man. He's not a boaster. I hate the shirt. He loved the shirt. He don't care. But the good tires are everything. Now when he go for a good tire, oh baby. Oh, baby. He can go in there look. And every time we go to get a good tire, he's like, I'm just gonna go look. And then he come out with a good tire. I
Coming
said,
with
well,
a
maybe
whole
the
guitar.
ugly shirt, maybe the little ugly shirt is a good luck charm. Because every time he go, God blesses him with a shirt where the good tires on sale, or he get a discount, or the gig bag on sale, or the pedal bar. I'm like, okay, well, maybe we iron the shirt, put a crease in the ugly shirt so he won't get rid of the shirt. So now the shirt is just part of, I'll
The
be like, hey,
ensemble.
what you do today? So now the shirt, so he has just brought love into my life. He's brought discipline into my life, where I was undisciplined at and where I was unbalanced at, because I was very unbalanced and I was very undisciplined in a few things, not a lot.
Right. So
And
he topped off where you was lacking per se.
then here's one of the things that I really love about him, you know, um, I wear red door. I've got many perfumes. I've been blessed with many, and some of them I can't even pronounce. And I don't know why people decide they want to bless me with all these nice perfumes that I can't.
Um, Miss Neecy, you see that message, right? Send me a picture of the shirt so I can find my husband.
I will
Dr.
do it.
Madison, I was gonna ask the same thing. I need to know what this shirt looked like so I can go get one too.
And I promise you, I'm gonna send the shirt because I may have some pictures. But let me tell you this: the one thing that really, really, really made me fall in love with my husband again, and we would be sitting, we watch movies, and he'd come close, and I'd be like, and I'd be like, "Babe, what are you doing?" He said, "I just want to sniff you. You smell so good." I said, "You want to what?" He said, "I want to sniff you." I said, "I ain't never had nobody do that before." And so when he comes closer and closer, then I know I smell good. So I make sure now when I go out there, I got my hair combed real pretty and trying to make sure that I look good and I look sweet. Because I done had a whole lot of things in life, but I ain't never tell nobody. I ain't never had nobody tell me that they love to sniff me and that
Wait, 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 wait. Because I know we overtime and I'm about to end it, but you just said something that I think is real important. Now keep in mind, I'm not a married woman yet. Because I know God gonna send them to me, but I need that shirt though, Miss Neecy. But you said something that caught my attention, that you get yourself together every day. You make sure you smell good. You make sure your hair is done. You do all the things to give him not just the physical, but the visual. So you're not walking outside in bonnets. You're
no.
not walking around in turtlenecks and unless it's cold. But you know what I mean? You putting yourself together like the woman that you are.
And when I go out, I make sure I'm together. I don't care what you think, she think, he think. This when I come out, it ain't for you. It's for Charles. It's for my baby Butch. You ain't gotta like it. I've already checked with baby. Baby, you like this? And he said, oh, baby, I like that on you. And he let me know he like it on me because when he do his circle around me, he sniff me. I don't care what nobody think because see, when I come, I'm coming right because he's
Um,
already made me feel love. This man gives me a love he never had before. So I thank God that he answered that prayer because I was in the middle of a hurricane and a tornado that had collided. And this man came in
wow.
and I said, God, please don't close my heart to love and don't let me be bitter and mean. And God did that for me. So when God sent the man, and then what I was looking for, God snatched some things away from me because He said, "That's him, that's him." And I started drawing near to him, and it was the way he talked to me. And then he was like, he's also because my husband's 70. And then he'll say, like we're going to get supper, and then I hear him say, have you seen my top piece? What's the top piece? He said, my hat. I said, oh, it's over in the corner. I said, why you say top piece? He said, that's what my daddy called it, the top piece. So it's a lot of things that I've learned from my husband, where that has helped me to grow and develop at 60. I'm 60. I'm okay with that.
Miss
Because
Nisi, stop playing.
Everybody not making it to 60, baby. But
They
you got
not, especially starting over with love and baby. Look, we're gonna have to do a whole different type of show here on What's in Your Cup Conversations, where I'm gonna bring on a panel of married folks. Matter of fact, I may need Dr. Natalie's help with this one. We need some. We need a panel of some married women that's doing marriage and love the second time around and making it work. Because, baby, us newbies, we need some pointers. But before I let you go, Miss Neecy, the one question I ask everybody: we are in a cancel culture. We are in the midst of a cancel culture where everybody is judged by the way they look and all the things. And right, if
yeah.
you ain't up to par and up to the standards, people dismiss you, right? What is your view or your statement about living life with no more limits while being beautifully flawed?
Find yourself in you. Move everything out the way and do you. Get comfortable in you. And one thing, Dr. Sonia Lowe got a book, Bear. And her name is Dr. Sonia Lowe. That is her name, Sonja. That book blessed me because she said that book told her to get butt naked and start falling in love with herself. Fall in love with you. Do you. Don't think about people, because people are cruel and mean. They ain't going to have nothing good to say. Fall in love with you. Inspire your own self. Motivate yourself. Believe in yourself. Do only what you can do. Don't be a people pleaser, because that runs your life every time. Find yourself. Find what you good at and do only what you good at. Be nice, be sweet, be kind to people, because it'll sure come back to you.
And on that note, thank you very much, Miss Neecy, for joining us on this episode of What's in Your Cup Conversations. I am your host, Consuela Nicole, and like Miss Neecy say, don't watch me, watch God. We'll see y'all in 2 weeks. And remember to share this video no matter where it is, because I promise you, today's episode is the answer to someone else's prayers. Until next time, y'all, have a good night.
Yeah.